maker and Navy veteran in order to film Kurdish fighters in Syria. He struck a deal with them, became a combat medic with Kurdish fighters, also known as YPG, and River Hag is with me now. So River, thank you so much for coming on. And just first of all, just what's the backstory? Tell me more about how you came to be a combat medic for Kurdish forces in Syria and just what that experience was like.
Well, thank you, Brooke. I appreciate you giving us the microphone, first of all, as a veteran and as a veteran of the YPG. Thank you very much. My background, being in the Navy, being a United States military veteran, we get a basic medical training. As a fireman in the Navy, I got some more advanced training. So when I got to Rojava, which is the northern part of Syria, and there were no combat medics, there was a young man from Kentucky and another guy from New Zealand. And we all banded together to create this combat medic unit.
And so you become this medic, but I have also seen parts of your documentary. Obviously, you've got a camera. And so you tell me a little bit about what you saw and what you experienced from our then allies, the Kurds.
Yeah, well, what I saw was the Kurds dying and fighting to defeat ISIS. We had some Delta and special forces that would be in the background directing the airstrikes and stuff, so civilians weren't getting necessarily needlessly hurt. ISIS liked to use those civilians as casualties, so we saw a lot of civilian casualties. We saw heavy YPG SDF casualties. There's been around 11,000 Kurds that have been killed, but that doesn't also take into account, the tens of thousands that have been maimed or lost their limbs, or just the devastation that war psychologically creates on you is also really, really traumatic.
Also using your word traumatic, but to spin it to, U.S. Special Forces. I keep reading pieces, quotes, where many of these guys feel ashamed because of this decision now to turn their backs, right? Talk to me about that. And talk to me about also, I know you're in touch with your Kurdish friends. How are they responding to this?
Well, first of all, it's horrible. When you fight alongside people, you become very close to them. And the U.S. Special Forces, were a very critical component in the defeat of ISIS. They worked very closely with our Kurdish allies, not only helping them to avoid needless casualties, but also, giving them additional, air support. And, they gave us a bunch of medical supplies. We were able to help a lot of people with their medical supplies. The chief that was in charge of the medics there with the Delta guys that were in Manbij at that time gave us what he said was a month worth of medical supplies, and we went through them in 3 days. So, the amount of blood that was spilled to defeat ISIS is tremendous. And what's so terrifying for my friends there that I speak to right now is that they feel completely alone and abandoned, and they're terrified because Assad, you have to remember, didn't let the Kurds speak their own language. Didn't even give them citizenships. If you were Kurdish in Syria before the Arab Spring, you couldn't get a passport, you couldn't get a driver's license. You're treated pretty much like a non-citizen. So for them to be pushed back to Assad it's tragic, and all in the decision of Donald Trump, who betrayed the American people. He betrayed the values of what America stand for, the home of the brave. And that's to me also incredibly tragic, as a lot of other service members I think feel, because I think that what he's done is betrayed years and years of our sacrifice and blood there, and he just gave it away so he could build a hotel in Istanbul or sell jets to Turkey. That's subjective.
We can't go there.
Sorry.
We don't know what his ultimate. But this was the decision that came out of the conversation with Erdogan.
These are what my friends are saying. Yes.
Sure.
Yeah,
River, I appreciate you coming on. Thank you for your service. Thank you for shining a light on the Kurds in your film. I appreciate it. And to your point of criticism, even Mitch McConnell, the top Republican in the Senate, is also critical of the President of the United States. Yeah. River, thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me on CNN.
Ahead of tomorrow night.